Have you ever felt like you're just going through the motions of life following a routine that feels empty? Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, believed that life doesn't truly begin until you embark on the journey to find yourself. Many people spend years living according to society's expectations, suppressing their true desires and ignoring their authentic selves. But beneath that thought lies your true essence, waiting to be discovered. Jung called this process individuation, a path where you confront your inner shadows, embrace your strengths, and align your conscious and unconscious mind. When you begin this journey, everything changes. Your decisions become more intentional, your relationships more meaningful, and your sense of purpose clearer. But this transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that requires courage, introspection, and honesty. In this video, we'll explore how finding yourself unlocks the door to a life filled with authenticity and purpose. We'll dive into Jung's insights, breaking down the stages of individuation and uncovering the hidden layers of your psyche. By the end, you'll not only understand why life truly begins when you find yourself, but also how to start that journey. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, is this really me? Many people go through life living a version of themselves that was shaped by external expectations. Carl Jung called this the false self, a mask we wear to conform to what society, family, and peers expect from us. From a young age, we're taught what's acceptable, what earns approval, and what leads to rejection. To fit in, we suppress our authentic desires and mold ourselves into someone others will admire. But over time, this mask becomes so heavy that it suffocates our true essence. Imagine someone who's always been told that pursuing art is impractical, so they become a lawyer to please their parents. They excel in their career, but deep down, there's a lingering emptiness. Despite outward success, they feel disconnected from their true passion. This disconnection between who they are and who they pretend to be creates an internal conflict that manifests as anxiety, frustration, and even depression. The danger of living as the full self is that it creates a life that feels hollow. You might follow all the rules, achieve societal success, and still feel a deep void inside. This is because the false self is driven by fear of rejection, fear of failure, and fear of disappointing others. The more you feed this false persona, the further you drift from your authentic self. And as you pointed out, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life. And you will call it fate. But breaking free from the false self is not easy. It requires courage to confront the parts of yourself that have been buried. This is where the next step of the journey begins, confronting the shadow. The shadow is the part of us we often reject, our fears, desires, and unacknowledged emotions. You believed that only by embracing this hidden side can we achieve true authenticity. In the next section, we'll explore what it means to confront your shadow and why this process is essential for becoming your true self. Are you ready to look within and face what you've been avoiding? The journey to wholeness starts there. Have you ever wondered why certain things trigger such intense emotions within you? Why do some situations bring out anger, jealousy, or fear that feels out of proportion? Carl Jung believed that these intense reactions come from the shadowed part of ourselves that we bury deep within our subconscious. The shadow holds everything we deny or reject about ourselves, our desires, fears, and unacknowledged emotions. But ignoring the shadow doesn't make it disappear. In fact, it grows stronger the more we suppress it, influencing our thoughts and behaviors in ways we don't even realize. Consider someone who prides themselves on being kind and compassionate but secretly feels intense resentment when others take advantage of their generosity. They suppress this anger because it doesn't align with their self-image. But over time, this buried anger seeps out through passive-aggressive comments, sudden outbursts, or unexplained emotional distance. The more they ignore the shadow, the more it controls them from the background. Jung warned that what you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. Facing your shadow is uncomfortable, but it's a necessary step toward wholeness. It requires looking honestly at the parts of yourself you've been taught to reject. Maybe it's the fear of failure, the desire for power, or the craving for validation. These are not bad traits, they are simply human. When you confront your shadow, you begin to integrate these hidden aspects into your conscious awareness. This process doesn't mean acting on every impulse, but rather acknowledging these feelings and understanding where they come from. You believed that embracing the shadow is the key to authenticity. By bringing your hidden desires and fears into the light, you take away their power to control you. Imagine someone who finally acknowledges their deep-seated fear of rejection. Instead of avoiding relationships, they learn to navigate vulnerability with awareness. This shift leads to more genuine connections and a sense of freedom. But what happens after confronting the shadow? It's not just about recognizing your hidden side, it's about answering the deeper call for authenticity. In the next section, we'll explore the awakening, recognizing the call to authenticity, and discover how this newfound self-awareness propels you toward living a life that's truly your own. Are you ready to step into that awakening? Have you ever felt an unsettling emptiness despite having everything society says should make you happy? Maybe you've achieved career success, built strong relationships, and met every external expectation. Yet there's a quiet, persistent feeling that something is missing. This is often the call to authenticate your deep inner voice, urging you to live a life that reflects who you truly are, not the version shaped by societal pressures or the expectations of others. Carl Jung believed that this awakening happens when we've spent too long living through the false self-mask we wear to fit into the world. Over time, the false self cracks, and the real self begins to push through. This moment of awakening can feel disorienting, like standing at a crossroads where one path leads to maintaining a comfortable, familiar life, while the other demands confronting the unknown and embracing your true self. Take, for example, someone who spent years climbing the corporate ladder, believing that prestige and financial success would bring fulfillment. But as they reach the top, they realize they feel disconnected from their passions and values. This awakening is painful because it challenges everything they've built their identity around. But ignoring this inner calling only deepens the sense of emptiness. When you begin to recognize the call to authenticity, it doesn't always come with clarity. Sometimes it starts as a quiet discomfort, a nagging sense that something in your life is off. It might be the sudden realization that your relationships feel shallow, or that your daily routines lack meaning. These signs are invitations to explore who you are beneath the expectations and personas. You believed that this awakening is the first step toward individuation process of becoming whole by integrating your true self. As you shed the layers of who you thought you should be, you uncover the parts of yourself that have been silenced for too long. This path isn't easy. It requires courage to leave behind the comfort of conformity and step into the uncertainty of self-discovery. But what comes next after recognizing this call? The journey doesn't end here. It leads to something even deeper, the individuation process, uniting the conscious and unconscious. In the next section, we'll explore how embracing both the light and shadow within you can lead to true wholeness. Are you ready to embark on that transformative journey? Have you ever wondered why certain fears, desires, or habits seem to emerge out of nowhere, almost as if they belong to a part of you that you don't fully understand? This is because they do. Carl Jung believed that true self-discovery is not just about understanding who you are on the surface, it's about uniting your conscious and unconscious mind through a process called individuation. This journey transforms you from living a fragmented existence into becoming a whole, authentic individual. Think of your conscious mind as the tip of an iceberg, representing everything you're aware of: your thoughts, actions, and beliefs. But beneath the surface lies the vast unconscious, a reservoir of hidden desires, suppressed emotions, and forgotten experiences. This hidden world also includes your shadow self, parts of you that you've rejected or denied because they don't align with the image you want to present to the world. Jung emphasized that true growth happens only when you confront and integrate these hidden aspects. Consider someone who has always been a people pleaser, constantly seeking validation and approval from others. Deep down, however, they may harbor resentment or frustration for not expressing their true desires. These unexpressed feelings, buried in the unconscious, often manifest in passive-aggressive behavior or sudden emotional outbursts. Through individuation, this person begins to recognize these suppressed emotions and confronts the source of their need for validation. The individuation process is not about erasing these hidden aspects, it's about embracing them. By acknowledging your shadow, you gain the power to stop it from controlling you unconsciously. As Jung famously said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a lifelong journey of self-reflection, facing uncomfortable truths, and integrating all parts of yourself, both light and shadow. Through individuation, you learn to balance the opposing forces within you: logic and emotion, strength and vulnerability, ambition and compassion. This balance allows you to live with greater awareness and authenticity. But the real power lies in what happens next. When you unite the conscious and unconscious, you no longer feel divided within yourself. You become aligned with your deepest values and desires, paving the way for living authentically. So, what happens when you embrace this newfound wholeness? In the next section, Living Authentically, the power of being true to yourself, we'll explore how living from a place of authenticity can transform your relationships, decisions, and overall sense of fulfillment. Are you ready to step fully into your true self? Have you ever felt the exhausting pressure of pretending to be someone you're not? You go to work, smile at people, agree with opinions you don't believe in, and suppress your real thoughts just to fit in. But deep down, there's a quiet voice whispering, "This isn't me." That voice is your authentic self trying to break free. Carl Jung believed that living authentically is not just a moral choice, it's a psychological necessity. When you align your life with your true self, you unlock a power that transforms not only your relationships but your entire existence. Consider a young professional named Sarah who followed the conventional path laid out for her, getting a degree in finance, landing a well-paying corporate job, and climbing the corporate ladder. On paper, her life looked perfect, but inside, Sarah felt disconnected and unfulfilled. Her real passion was in storytelling and creating meaningful content, but she feared judgment and uncertainty. The more she ignored her true desires, the more anxious and restless she became. This inner conflict was her unconscious mind signaling that she was living out of alignment. When Sarah finally chose to pursue her passion for content creation, her life took a drastic turn. Yes, the initial phase was filled with doubts and challenges, but for the first time, she felt alive. Living authentically didn't make her life easier, it made it more meaningful. When you are true to yourself, you attract relationships that resonate with your values, opportunities that align with your passion, and a sense of peace that no amount of external success can offer. Living authentically means owning your truth even when it's uncomfortable. It means speaking your mind, setting boundaries, and making choices that honor who you really are. But authenticity comes at a cost. You may lose people who were only connected to the version of you that they wanted to see. However, what you gain in return is freedom, confidence, and a life that feels genuinely fulfilling. Jung taught that authenticity is the ultimate form of individuation, where you integrate all parts of yourself, light and the shadow, and show up in the world as a whole person. But what happens when you embrace this power? In the next section, the ultimate reward, purpose, peace, and inner freedom, we'll explore how living authentically leads to profound emotional and spiritual rewards that go beyond superficial success. Are you ready to discover what true freedom feels like? Have you ever wondered what it feels like to wake up without the weight of expectations pressing down on you? To live a life where your actions, decisions, and desires align perfectly with your deepest values? This is the ultimate reward of living authentically. Purpose, peace, and inner freedom. Carl Jung believed that when you embrace your true self and integrate all aspects of your personality, you unlock a life of unparalleled fulfillment. But what does this actually look like in the real world? Imagine David, a successful lawyer who spent years building a reputation and a high-profile career. On the surface, he had everything: prestige, honor, and respect. But beneath that facade, David was deeply unhappy. He had chosen law to please his parents and society, but his real passion was writing. He often stayed up late, pouring his thoughts into stories that no one ever read. His soul felt trapped in a life that wasn't his own. One day, David finally took the leap. He left behind the stability of law and embraced his calling as a writer. It was terrifying at first: financial uncertainty, judgment from peers, and the fear of failure. But as he settled into his new life, something remarkable happened. David discovered purpose in his work. Every story he wrote resonated deeply with readers. He felt peace because his inner and outer worlds were finally aligned. And most importantly, he experienced inner freedom, the ability to live life on his own terms, free from societal expectations. When you align your life with your authentic self, you begin to experience these profound rewards. Purpose gives your life direction and meaning. It fuels your actions and makes even the hardest challenges feel worthwhile. Peace comes when you stop fighting against who you are, allowing your mind and heart to exist in harmony. And inner freedom is the ability to make choices that reflect your true desires, free from guilt, shame, or the need for validation. However, these rewards don't come without a price. You may have to let go of relationships, societal approval, and even comfort. But what you gain is something far more valuable: a life where you are in control, not the expectations of others. As Jung suggested, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. But here's the ultimate question: are you willing to trade comfort for authenticity and discover the extraordinary life waiting on the other side?